The 2020 spring season is easily the weirdest anime season I've ever been a part of. Big hitters pushed back before they could even start, shows delayed mid-run, and a Studio Pro anime actually taking a break. It's the Wild West right now, and that has noticeably shown in this season's openings. We have an eclectic mix of openings with some mildly disappointing returners and a lot of very random bangers. For the record, if a show actually started airing and had an opening, it's counted as spring here, even if the show was delayed to July or later. This is mostly just for my personal sanity when summer comes around. As always, let's start with the honorable mentions. Sorry, this is the best 30 seconds of the year, no cap. So one fun thing that happened this season is that just completely random shows I have never heard of had absolutely fire songs for their openings. Penguin Research absolutely kills this. It's one of my 5 favorite songs of the season, and I'm actually mad it's in this show and not like My Hero or something. See? What business does Groove have being in a spin-off Yu-Gi-Oh series? This surprisingly has quite a good overall style, and I really like what they did with the character ID cards. I really like this song. I don't really know why, but the chorus grabbed me enough to make me make you watch about 20 seconds of this opening right now. This is easily the most aggressive example of we made an ED the opening I have ever seen, and I'm a little sad after the second half of Season 1 actually popped off a bit. But this opening does look nice, and I like the framing with the animals. This would get honorable mentions solely on the fact that I like BiSH and they only make good songs, but also it kind of made me want to watch Kingdom, so, you know, the opening did its job, I guess. There was a stark drop of honorable mentions from 17 in winter to just 7 in spring, and that was due to 2 things. Not a huge depth of good openings this season, partially because we lost some potential standouts this summer, but also because not too much really blew me away. Winter had the very helpful Haikyuu barometer where anything that wasn't up to that standard was just dropped to honorable mention. Here, the bottom of the list was a bit muddled and even changed a couple times while I was working on this, so it was hard to know what exactly wasn't worthy of getting extended time, and when that happens, I'm just gonna give everything extended time. So yes, after one clean top 11 season, the top 15 makes a return. But I swear all 15 are worth your time, so buckle up and let's go. You know I love a good horn section, and this song immediately delivers. Add in some beautiful backgrounds and great colors, and we are speaking my language right now. Now the song never quite reaches the heights of those first few bars again, but it doesn't let you down either. I think it's a great choice for a detective show and solid overall. The visuals are a different story. A lot of it looks like something we should have seen in winter with our color bonanza, and it's nice, but they don't do a ton with it. This actually barely slid onto the full list and only really did because I wanted a clean 15, mainly because it's almost all non-moving characters. The backgrounds are great, but it's really just cycling behind the cast with the chorus being the biggest offender. This is still good overall, but there's a lot of missed potential here. Well, might as well rip the band-aid off on this one. I'm very disappointed by this opening. To some extent, I think it's unfair to directly compare openings to their predecessors, but I also think it's important to consider how a show decides to display itself over the course of different seasons. Here, I just don't know where the complete change in form and style came from. They still targeted the same type of song, it's Masayuki Suzuki again, so why are the visuals so wildly bland? Season 1 had bright colors and explosions and crazy creative stuff, while this hard struck me as a skit from the show they just set to music. Okay, I'm being a little harsh here on this opening. It's not bad, it's just that Love Dramatic is so good that I was kinda shocked when I saw this for the first time. The shots with the arrow into the title card are good, as is the stairway shots and the hallway investigation, aka anything that doesn't look pulled right out of an episode. Essentially the entire reason this is even in this spot is because the song is fantastic. Suzuki kills it again with a great jazz song, and while this type of opening has gotten a bit more common since Kaguya Season 1, It's still refreshing enough to be a good mix-up from your traditional anime opening. I just wish I could say the same about the visuals, and maybe I'd be introducing this at the very end of this video. I think this paired with Kaguya is a fun lesson on how expectations can affect our enjoyment of media, or something like that. The first major second opening is alright, but nothing too special, and funnily enough, it kind of falls into that skit set to music genre I just mentioned. So I went into season 2 expecting very little, and it took one guitar line to immediately blow that away. I could listen to that guitar for hours. I said earlier that there were some out of left field random bangers this season, and this is the king of that genre. For once, I did not know the artist going in, but Leo Airi has put me on notice. Visually, we have some nice color-coded shots of flowers representing each character, and then head tilts. Lots of head tilts. I'm also a big fan of the sky baseball field and all the quick cuts at the end. The song does the heavy lifting, but this opening was a pleasant surprise. They spent their entire openings budget on Black Catcher, and you can't convince me otherwise. As we know, Black Clover doesn't have a bad opening, but in spring they calmed down a bit and gave us just a good opening, instead of a Black Catcher or a Right Now. Musically, they continue to keep us on our toes as Stories is by idol boy band Snowman, and gives us by far the most straight pop song in the show's catalog. I think Black Clover has already proven that it can work with any type of music, still waiting on that jazz opening, but I do admittedly miss Kakaku Piero's wailing guitars or Vicky Blanca's piano. The visuals are certainly not as stylized as we're used to, but the opening 15 seconds are absolutely gorgeous. I also really like the story so far section and the chorus shots that focus on the grimoires. I wish it didn't have as many still character shots, but at some point the shonen is going to bleed through. Last but not least, a quick shout out to Asta for making the Washington Monument there at the end. Anyway, Black Clover is still on hiatus, so I don't know when we're actually going to get opening 12, so if you don't mind me, I'm going to go watch Black Catcher again. This is one of the prettier openings of the season, strictly based on how the characters themselves look, not really any creative direction. Aside from a mild case of CGI car, there aren't really any low points here, but the high points are reserved mostly for the dope title card and the fight scenes in the chorus. The changing backgrounds during the wide shot of the car are nice as well. I like the song, wish they could have somehow leaned to the late 19th century aesthetic a bit more, but hey, the horns are nice. It has a nice driving tempo that fits the visuals and the cross-country road race theme. I also really like the twangy guitar intro. Basically the first 15 seconds of this opening are my favorite part. Outside of that though, it's just a classic case of a solid, but not overwhelming opening. This was one of the harder openings to place this season because it has a lot of good individual shots, they're just kinda sporadic. I'm also gonna be upfront about this and say I think that monster design kinda looks goofy, but the positives are still very strong. Everything up through the title card is great, and I'm really into the coins forming the title. Fast forward right before the chorus, and the perspective here makes the running shot look fantastic. They nail the back and forth between Shuichi and Claire, giving us the best series of shots in the entire thing, and cap it off by saving the best shot for the final still. The song is unique and doesn't sound like anything else on the list, and fits the show well. I really like this opening, and if the verse section was a little more outside the box visually, I could have seen this making a real run up the charts. An absolute shocker from a show that hasn't been able to break honorable mention, or less, in its previous 2 openings. Hint, getting blue in count is a pretty good way to breathe life into any opening. Hummingbird sort of lulls you into a false sense of security right at the top before punching you in the face just 4 seconds later with a chorus as the intro, giving us the rare 2-chorus anime opening. The benefit of having 2 guitars and a bass in the band is felt throughout the song, but is super nice in the verse with the underlying strumming guitar line accented by the other guitar performing almost backup vocals. It's an expertly crafted song. But where this opening makes a leap from the show's previous attempts is its visuals. They commit to the blue and white sky color scheme at the beginning and hold to it throughout. The backstories of each character and their silhouettes is fantastic, and actually the stark white backgrounds help focus your attention on it. I love the geometry on display during the verse, and they actually show how decently creative you can be even with relatively still shots. Then what seals it for me is the burst of other colors during the chorus and how stylized the game footage is. It's all set up by that first minute of relative monochrome, and I love it. This is easily my favorite sports anime opening of 2020 so far. Why is this not a minute and a half? Why is this not a minute and a half? B&A hits us with an incredible first 25 seconds with a slowly building guitar matched with a clapping rhythm culminating in a blasting title card. It starts with DNA strands and incrementally zooms out until we're looking right into Michiru's eye, and oh, also she's standing in the reflection of the eye, boom, title card made out of different organisms, great city backdrop, and yes, I am in fact ready to go. It starts very clean, and normally I'd be able to defend the next 20 seconds as build up for a slamming chorus, as I do really like the shots of the different characters and their animal forms. It's just that right as the opening appears to be hitting its top gear, it just ends. Now, I'm certainly not one to tell Trigger what to do, but if you're going to go out of your way to make a full-length song sung by Michiru's VA specifically for the opening, why not just add the extra 30 seconds? I don't know, it's still really good, it just kind of bums me out. Not that this matters here, but you'll be happy to learn that the full version of this song is absolutely ridiculous and I love it. It's just 3.5 straight minutes of energy. I will defer to Trigger here as I don't want my fan club card revoked, but this OP just had so much promise, it makes me sad to see it not reach those heights. Wave Listen to Me only has a few visual tricks up its sleeve, but it absolutely kills every single one. You want sound waves? We got them. You want a visualization of radio waves sweeping over the sky? Here it is. There are also great colorful backgrounds and great pastel visuals, sometimes, all capped off by the highlight of Minare falling while trapped in the chords. I really wish they had stuck to their creative guns here instead of throwing in that radio scene during the chorus, but no point in dwelling on it too much. More importantly, if you're insane like me, you might have noticed that we have some Naruto alumni performing here, as the song is by Tashka, who did Naruto Shippuden OP 10, which happens to be one of my least favorite Naruto openings, not because of the song, I actually quite like New Song, but we're very quickly venturing into other video territory at the moment. Back to the topic at hand, APPARE-RANMAN is a very strong effort, and I love how they worked in the guitar feedback at the beginning to match the soundcheck theme. The song builds on itself as at the beginning of the verse there is only guitar accompaniment before the drums and finally the bass come in. And oh, that bass line is so good. The song really didn't blow me away at first, but the more I listen to it, the more I like it. This might be the best opening of the season if the song was better. I'm actually legitimately disappointed that these absolutely beautiful, creative, insane visuals were seemingly haphazardly paired with this song. I don't have too much to say about it, I like the chorus, there's just a lack of timing or weight here when matched with the visuals. Like the chorus just starts in the middle of a shot. Seriously, take any opening song you can think of and just play it while watching this opening on mute and it almost always fits better. Anyway, the visuals are why this is here. They throw so many great shots at you back to back to back, all the way from the beautiful stained glass floor at the beginning to the teardrop at the end. There are 3 distinct sections that really stand out to me. The stained glass clockwork art, the wonderful character animations amongst the kanji, and the final section in the paper pitfall. Each section provides a unique creative direction and would have been a quality opening by themselves, but put all 3 together and there's some real art flexing going on. If you were to make me pick one shot as my favorite, I think it's this shot towards the end. It's just so crazy beautiful, I want to frame it. 10 out of 10 visuals, 2 out of 10 song choice, and a comfortable spot at number 6. Every season there's an opening that is just so pretty that it is impossible to ignore. And in spring, congratulations Kakushi Goto, that's you. Every single background is gorgeous. I could randomly pick nearly any frame from this opening and we could just sit here and admire the beauty and detail put into the background art. The animation is clean and crisp and it tells a story, and I don't think I've ever seen more beautiful water in my life. It's hard to choose, but my favorite shot is at the end when only the spots underneath their feet are colored in and the grass is growing underneath Hime while Kakushi's is a well-kept lawn, just how he wants her to think of him. Oh, also, hi Flumple, welcome back, thanks for making me feel things again. Unlike our last opening, the song fits the visuals perfectly, and I'm in love with the fact that the chorus is a more fleshed out or grown version of the opening bars, as we watch Hime grow up throughout the OP. Just beautiful stuff all around from everyone involved, I love all of you. I think it's important for you all to go into this section with the knowledge that I really like K-pop. Now with that out of the way, yo, this slaps! This is everything I needed in an opening song. Great initial impact, strong verse, endless replayability, and a chorus that just makes you go, okay, it's time to watch the show now. Also, it doesn't hurt that it's fairly unique within the anime opening sphere. The visuals are also unique, to mixed effect. They pick and choose their spots and provide nothing but fantastic shots, but they're also interspersed with the black background credits. Basically the opposite of those openings that try and blend the credits into the opening itself. Still, I'd almost rather have these cuts between great shots and black screens over the usual pans of a non-moving cast we see so often. There is still something a bit jarring about them, but I'm not wholly against it. I do also think it's funny that most of the visuals are Bam just getting absolutely slapped around, but that shot of him taking the first step in the dust synced with the song is more than enough to make me not even care about that one bit. Finally, while the actual opening version that most of us get is in Japanese, I do think it's really cool that they got a Korean band to do the opening for a show based off a Korean manhwa. And while I'm probably a bit biased here, I hope this leads to even more K-pop anime openings. But for now, we'll just have to settle for Tower of God's fantastic debut. Remember all the way back when I said spring had some random bangers? Welcome to Gallon Dino, a show and an opening that almost defy definition. I cannot really explain to you exactly what this opening is. It feels like something that you just have to experience to truly achieve enlightenment. But I will try. The big real-life dinosaur suit is a bit wacky, but don't let that take away from the fact that those quick cut shots are absolutely insane. I'm already a big fan of any quick cuts to a beat, but here it almost seems unfair to the visuals that they're going by so fast. Each shot is its own little work of art, whether it's a full drawn frame or a photograph. I just love the different ways they're able to work the dinosaur into these shots. It slows down a bit in the middle, but still manages to keep a coherent theme. Then IRL Dino is back at the end. The song is essentially built around the visuals, and while I'm not head over heels for it, the opening would fundamentally not be the same without it. Its breakneck pace is what even allows those quick cuts to happen. This is one of the weirdest anime I have ever seen, and I'm just glad they created an opening that really embraces that. Hey, I heard y'all like jump cuts, so I made you an entire opening out of jump cuts. So I swear that Tower of God was the first opening I can remember that did a cut to black to show off the credits, so I guess Listeners is the second. For once, I won't say that this has nothing but good shots, as there are a few wonky pieces here, but the plus side is they're gone about as fast as you can register them. It's kinda like someone watched the chorus of A Cruel Angel's Thesis and just went, that's it. That's the entire opening. And I actually kinda think that's rad as hell. My favorite shot is on screen for maybe a second and a half, but I just love this goofy dancing shot so much. A few other personal faves are this hallway, this pillow, Midgar, the Alps, and this skyline. Oh, and also remember all the Eureka 7 comparisons the show was getting pre-season? Anyway, with a show based around the power of rock music, it has to have a strong rock opening, and it absolutely delivers on that front. It opens with an infectious core riff, has dueling guitars, non-stop tempo, and strong vocals. It's everything I could have hoped for from this show and more. The visuals are then able to back it up and meet that tempo, and it results in a masterpiece. I don't know how much the bass player in this song was paid, all I know is that it was not enough. The bass in this song, not just the physical instrument but also the drums in the mix, is so good that it has forced me to make it the first thing I mentioned about this opening. And honestly that's fitting because it's the first thing that immediately grabs you as this song starts. It rides a very thin line between going hard and being smooth, and I think that fits a show like this absolutely perfect. Fun side fact, the band here, Six Tones, debuted in 2020 alongside Snowman, who performed the earlier Black Clover OP. And this is just their second post-debut song, which is quite the feat. Even though they were formed in 2015, but now is not the time for a J-pop lesson, I'm sorry. The visuals, we do have visuals here, are clean all around and probably the most technically sound ones of the season. Even if a good portion of them are, hey, look how hot Daisuke is. Seriously though, he has some of my favorite shots in this opening. His bathtub, the cigar, just chilling in the blue car, literally exploding into money. He was dominating anime Twitter for a reason before this show got delayed, and he dominates this opening. They do spread the wealth around a little bit, as I actually think the shots featuring the entire cast are some of the more beautiful, mostly because the single color backgrounds really provide a nice relief from the surrounding excess. My single favorite sequence is the stairs transition, again just because I think black and white provide much needed contrast and the binary looks very cool. This wasn't a complete runaway for the top spot like we've had quite a few times recently, but Millionaire Detective just provides us with a great song and comboed it with great visuals, and that's what it's all about. It deservedly locks in as the best opening of spring 2020.